How an American steel takeover became a political firestorm. A Japanese company's plan to buy US steel is challenging the country's long-standing policy toward foreign investment. On a recent Sunday afternoon, an executive of Nippon Steel, the biggest steel maker in Japan, settled into his seat at the Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to attend his first American football game. As the song Renegade by the 1970s rock band Styx blasted over the speakers, a Pittsburgh Steelers home game tradition, Takahiro Mori led up, beaming with tens of thousands of other fans, and whipped around the team's iconic yellow terrible towel above his head. Yet, unlike the other 67,000 in attendance, Mori was not just there to see whether the Steelers would beat the Baltimore Ravens. He was on a charm offensive to win support for the biggest deal of his career. Just before Christmas 2023, Nippon agreed to buy an American icon, Pittsburgh-based US Steel. The $50 billion transaction was initially seen as a corporate triumph, one that combined two companies central to the economies of close allies, the US and Japan. Rahm Emanuel, the US ambassador to Japan, and Barack Obama, former chief of staff, took to social media platform X to laud the marriage. These two iconic companies are defining the future of the key steel industry and forging a strong bond as they face a more competitive environment. But just as quickly the mood turned. At the beginning of this year, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump said he would block the deal. Shortly after, President Joe Biden said US Steel should remain domestically owned and operated. His Vice President Kamala Harris agreed. This swift reaction was widely seen as pure politics. The company was headquartered in the most coveted swing state in the upcoming election. The high-level bipartisan opposition is also the strongest signal to date of how economic upheaval has pushed both US parties toward protectionism, reversing Washington's once almost unquestioned support for globalization and free trade. And the political backlash has sent a signal to other foreign investors. If you want to buy an American company, be ready for a fight. The ferocity of the battle was made plain by Trump, now president-elect, on Monday night. I am totally against the once great and powerful US Steel being bought by a foreign company. In this case, Nippon Steel of Japan, he posted on his social network. Through a series of tax incentives and tariffs, we will make US Steel strong and great again, and it will happen fast. As president, I will block this deal from happening. Buyer beware. Maria Sori, the director for the Central of Asia Policy Studies at the Brookings Institution, said opposition to the deal has taken some companies and others in Japan aback. She added that the issue could affect far more than just US Steel and Nippon Steel. From the get-go, the question has been, is this a one-off, or is this really a broader pattern that we should be concerned about? The resistance had been driven by the United Steelworkers, America's largest industrial union, which has argued that Japanese ownership could lead to job losses. David Wood has argued the opposite, warning in September that without a deal, thousands of jobs could be at risk. Selling US Steel in an election year was never part of the plan. In July 2023, Ohio-based rival Cleveland Cliffs approached with an unsolicited offer to buy the entire company for $35 per share, or about $7.3 billion. At the time, the offer was substantially higher than the price US Steel stock was trading at. But executives thought the company was still worth more. That forced US Steel to launch an auction just as the presidential campaign revved into high gear. According to people involved in the process, US Steel advisor reached out to 54 potential bidders. The USW threw its weight behind Cleveland. In the end, there was only one other competitor willing to bid at a higher price, Nippon Steel. After rounds of over and counter over, the Japanese company won with a submission of $55 per share. The Biden administration has denied its opposition is political, arguing that foreign ownership presented national security concern. It has also cited that the hollow place U.S. Steel hold in American business history. But policy experts believe the real reason was Biden's unwillingness to antagonize organized labor. In Tokyo, Japanese officials and business executives were blindsided by the opposition. They have expressed dismay that Washington would regard their acquisition as a security threat given the close ties between the two treaty allies. While the deal is under review by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., the government panel led by the Treasury that vets overseas investment for security risk, the U.S. President will make the final decision. After Trump's early December statement opposing the deal, the acquisition now appears even closer to that, despite Nippon lobbying effort. In September, Mori, the Nippon vice chair who has largely spearheaded the agreement, flew to Washington to meet Seuss, according to a person familiar with the trip. Around that time, the panel concluded the security risk could not be overcome, all but ensuring the transaction was doomed. In a last-minute twist, however, Nippon was granted a 90-day extension before Seuss made a formal recommendation to Biden, according to one person brief on the decision. That not only bought the company more time, but crucially pushed the evaluation past the French presidential election, a timetable executive had hoped for all along. Although Biden has just 2 months left in office, he could still decide on the deal himself before leaving the White House or pass on the problem to Trump. Obviously, the business community is watching this closely. Blocking the deal could have chilling effect not only on investment from Japan, but with consistently ranked first for foreign direct investment in the US, but on interest from other US allies, especially with a new president-elect advocating a protectionist economic policy that includes steep tariffs. The United States had long had an open investment policy, with successive presidents going back to World War II telling the world that the US is open for business, said John Murphy. It would be damaging to the US economy to send a signal that this job-supporting investment from close allied nations represent a threat. One of the thorniest issues for Nippon centers on the history of US Steel, which was founded by Gilded Age industrialist Andrew Carnegie during America's rise as a world economic power. It is a legendary name stitched into the very fabric of American cultural history. Perhaps if the company involved wasn't named US Steel, the situation might be a little different politically. In an effort to counteract the impression of an American icon falling into foreign hands, both companies have spent significant resources over the past several months mounting what some involved have described as a grassroots political campaign to convince local officials and workers that the deal is in their best interest. The campaigns have pitted union leadership against management at both Nippon and US Steel. Tactics have at times appeared ugly, with the two sides accusing each other of spreading lies. This went from being a legal review to a political fight, said one advisor involved in negotiating the transaction. I'm not sure there's been more politicized deal. Nippon says the steel workers have refused to engage in any real talks, while union leadership insists the deal is merely a ploy for the Japanese company to quash American steel production in order to bolster manufacturing back home. Nippon Steel denies that is the plan, saying it would not make sense from a business perspective. Nippon has committed to investing additional $2.7 billion into facilities represented by the union if the deal closes. It has produced YouTube videos detailing the transaction's benefit, from more jobs to plant upgrades. Along with US Steel, Nippon has hosted more than 70 town halls across the country to address employees' concerns. Mori has been ferried between Pennsylvania, Indiana, Arkansas, and Minnesota to make the case that Nippon is not an existential threat. USW President David McCall doubts those assurances. They have made promises that there will be no layoff and no plant shutdown, he said in an interview. But he pointed out that Nippon had indicated those pledges could be affected by a change in market, or if current production interferes with their business plan. Until Trump's latest intervention, there had been signs on the ground that Nippon charm offensive was working. Some union members have defected from McCall's stance, instead backing the Japanese takeover. 4 of them expressed their support on Fox News in October. "We are for the sale," said Andy Macy, a maintenance technician at US Steel, on the cable network. He suggested that rank and file members wanted union leadership to meet Nippon to discuss the terms. "That's all we are asking, just meet with them," he added. One sticking point for McCall is whether Nippon has plans to close down the company's blast furnace facilities, which are more labor-intensive and employ more people than other types of production. The Japanese steelmaker has insisted it has no plan to shut them down, arguing instead that it has earmarked $300 million for investment in blast furnace in Gary, Indiana alone. Regardless of the merits, however, many involved in the negotiation believe the ultimate decision, even now, after the election season has ended, will be political. Several believe it could be a sign of things to come for foreign takeover. There was once a lot more confidence in the rule of law and that it would prevail, said one advisor involved in the deal's negotiation, but what we have seen is the legal process being manipulated by political interests.